I'm in the food business or I'm in the cocktail business. No, I'm not. I'm in the business of providing a place for people to be around other people. Early on, you knew about the Monterey. That's where we met. And I did that very much as a lark. I was still working in commercial real estate full time. And I had no strategy per se. Opened up Barbaro after that, Hot Joy after that. So I had so at that point I had 3 restaurants, and then had the opportunity to acquire what was in the White Rabbit that we turned into Paper Tiger. So a number of my friends giving me good nature, like, what are you doing? You seem to have some traction with this restaurant stuff, and here you're going to go open a live music venue. You don't that, which is entirely accurate. Yeah. And I said, no, I think that you guys have missed what I've been thinking about doing here, which was looking at my market and saying, what is this market missing? And not can I compete to be the best live music guy or the best pizza guy or the best avant-garde offal craft beer natural wine spot, but what does the market need? It's just a lot easier to compete. I mean, this is part of being fat, ugly, and obnoxious, and trying to meet girls back in my college days. Is it's a lot easier when you don't have to compete with a bunch of people. So I think looking at what is San Antonio missing, and truly it was missing a 1,000-cat music venue. You would hear from people. We go to Austin all the time because cool bands don't come to San Antonio. Well, a big part of the reason that cool bands weren't coming to San Antonio is because we literally didn't have a venue, the physical infrastructure for them. So I said there was not 3 other music venues that I'm competing against. It was going where no one else is. So that's always a nice handicap when you are doing things that you don't know what you're doing.
So you said my market. What is your market?
Well, I would say San Antonio largely, but my market more specifically are, I'm stealing this quote from a woman named Shelley Griesaber. She was part of the early people that were working at the Pearl. This is back in like 2003 or whatever. But the well-read and the well-fed. And I think for a long time, San Antonio, people like that were from here or they moved here for whatever reason. This market had just an influx of net immigration from job growth, the same reason every Sunbelt city is growing and sprawling and all that stuff. They move here into this market, and it's a little bit of like when you showed up, you were just like, oh God, what is this place? Like, I mean, in 2000, moving to San Antonio was like moving to a big ass Corpus. I mean, in terms of eating well, drinking well, all that stuff. So I think that my market is always who's underserved for fun, cool, weird cultural stuff, whether that's natural wine or live music or, clubs that are fun, kind of whatever. That's a better way of saying market, I guess.
Okay. Well, so that's definitely where I want to go. But first, I want to go back to the Monterey because that is kind of the genesis of how you and I met. And I feel like a lot of other things that have grown from those days.
Yeah.
So, and it is like a point in time, it's is it pre-Monterey, post-Monterey? Like that is just this spot that
2011.
People in San Antonio reference, like, oh, that was Monterey.
Well, things did change, and I am very uncomfortable trying to like pat myself on the back or even accepting compliments from folks who are like, oh, that place was so awesome and it changed things. Because the reality is that after the Monterey opened, you had places like Feast open. Feast opened, I think, like 9 months after us, right? A similar, Stefan, who's a dear friend of mine, Stefan Bowers. The idea that, you can do like creative, interesting culinary stuff. Because after I do think in 2011, I was a little bit nutty enough to do something that was, as you recall, like kind of dramatically over the top in terms of its aspiration, almost willfully non-commercial. But then I think a lot of good operators took lessons from that, which is to say, we can the point of view. Not everything has to be like, oh God, what about the taco eaters and what about the sauce on the side people and what about the people that only want to drink Bud Light or whatever. So I think that people being able to look and say, if you do something with conviction and it has a sense of itself, then there is a market for that. And then a bunch of other places, opened up kind of after that, which is nice.
Well, so this is kind of getting to this point that I think we try to hit on is we've had many folks from the life sciences say like, oh, brain drain. And I think a big part of that is we can have the wet lab facilities that they might need, but they have to live there, right? That's the job, and then they've got other stuff. And now also life sciences tend to be average entrepreneurs like 44, 45. Those are midlife people that have kids, and so they need cool stuff. So I think that's why having you on here is you build the cool stuff. I think you're kind of, I don't want to pat you on the back too much, but you kind of lead.
That's actually why I'm here, Jeremy, to be complimented.
Yeah, but I mean, you're kind of leading in this cool stuff. And so I think that you, especially in this past decade, have built a lot of the things that are, if I bring someone to town, and this is going to go into my next question too, but bring someone to town, I'm going to show them the hot joy, the little death, because I'm like, look, we can do this stuff. So that I want you to answer that, but I also want to balance that with, we have all this like cultural heritage here in San Antonio. What is interesting is to balance that with like, no, we're a rich history. We had a tricentennial, et cetera. But when someone's coming for biotech, I don't want them to be like, oh, we're the Alamo little cowpoke town, and then show them all those things. I want to show them the cool little death hip stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
you got to have both.
Well, in a perfect way, in a perfect world, I think that you would take someone who'd come to San Antonio for the first time. And I do this with people that I'm introducing the town to, is you'd like, let's go have puffy tacos at Ray's Drive-In on the west side, and then let's go drink natural wine at Little Death after. Like, I think the best of both worlds, and I don't know, everybody, I mean, we can look up the road to Austin to see where everybody is hand-wringing about, oh, Austin's lost its soul. And I don't think that's true. I think that it's changed dramatically. But it's all, if you were in Austin in like the late 90s or the early aughts, I mean, it was basically like an overgrown college town. Like it wasn't, it actually used to suck to eat in Austin. There weren't any good restaurants. It was all the same as San Antonio, like burgers and tacos. They happen to have a bunch of live music venues because that's where all the creatives were huddling. But like this idea that somehow the change is something that everybody should be apprehensive about. I think San Antonio has really good prospects to retain the best of both worlds. I've always loved the casualness with this. Well, actually, in my desire to not make this a puff piece about San Antonio, because I don't do
it's
puff
not.
pieces.
No, I mean, say the truth.
I think that San Antonio, I describe people to San Antonio to friends of mine sometimes who are interested in it as it's one of those places that the same things that you love about it will also make you want to drown it in the bathtub sometimes. Like this city is like so fun and easy and casual and low key, and try hard does not work here. That is the part of San Antonio that I kind of love. It's a highly imperfect place. I think everybody talks about this in a corny way, but I believe it to be true. The people that are here that really want to be here and understand what San Antonio is, they adopt the posture of this city, and hopefully in the good ways, where not everything is a deal making, backslapping, festival of commerce. Like it's a fun place and a good place. And also, like, not to sound like a, lame ass progressive, but we do have some pretty big problems to fix here. There's that Times article recently that pointed out a lot of stuff about incomes. We have, we have a real problem with our overall economy at large. There's a lot of good places to go that the city needs to go to. And I don't know. When people like get nervous about like, oh, when all these apartments are being built and all these chains are coming in, oh my God, we're going to lose what San Antonio is. And I'm like, man, I've been here 26 years now. If there's one thing we can trust in San Antonio is this place does not do fast. Like if it changes, it's going to be glacial as it changes. Like what happened in Austin is not going to happen here. And I think ultimately, as long as we're growing this economy and growing opportunity for the people that live and work here, I'm fine if it happens in the typical San Antonio way.
Well, do you have any operating principles that you kind of work under that help you in spite of maybe some of these environmental
operating principles?
I don't know. I feel like you're just go ahead and try it, move fast, break things.
Yeah. I do think that I have enough confidence right now to say that if you just go, Like if you're not a total idiot, right? Very few of the mistakes from starting an enterprise will be fatal. I mean, there are some that are, but every single business that I've opened, bar, restaurant, club, whatever, every single one of them has turned into something that I didn't think it would be, that my team didn't think that it would be. To sound real, Koch brothers here, I mean, the market is going to kind of tell you what your business is going to do, that people vote with their dollars. And so the earlier you get started, the earlier you can kind of figure out like where you are off the mark or what you need to fix or how you need to pivot. I mean, I'm really I am never happy with any of my places, but on the whole, I'm proud of them all. And I'm proud of the team that works there. But like Hot Joy is a great example of a place that got, when we opened, national culinary attention because we were doing some really great culinary work there. We're not at that same level because the market doesn't want to pay for enough of that in our market. And then doing like Petit Cochon recently, which is also it's a French restaurant and it's very small and it's very niche in terms of the way that we do things. It is certainly not for everybody, but it's small enough to where we can remain faithful to what that idea is. So my operating principle is to just and try to avoid any major pitfalls, and then just listen gradually to what people are saying. You don't want to thrash around too much at the beginning because you want to actually form a cohesive picture of what people are responding to or what they're not. But I don't think this idea that you can have some strategy that you put in a PowerPoint and like, oh, this is going to be what it is.
Yeah, we've talked about like creating establishments that just don't napkin out. Like that's not the best way. Well, what's your formula then, right?
Also, okay, so, I come from a commercial real estate background, and I'm about to have to go talk to a bunch of those dorks. And, maybe it's the same way in y'all's world, but, you can write a pro forma that says whatever you want to say. You can write a budget that says whatever you want to say. I mean, you can delude yourself as you want to with numbers or whatever. And I think that in my business, where we are in the business of providing experiences to people, not providing, but like giving them the real estate for it. Girdley, Michael Girdley. So Girdley has this great line. I mean, he's got a love you, Mike. But like the line that I guess it was his grandfather who started the fireworks company that they have, Alamo Fireworks, and he says, the thing people often don't understand the business they're actually in, and that they're not in the fireworks business, they're in the family memories business. And I think that's a really smart way of looking at things. I can say that I'm in the food business or I'm in the cocktail business. No, I'm not. I'm in the business of providing a place for people to be around other people. Yep. And sometimes that's booty shaking on the dance floor. Sometimes it's opening up this pit at a hardcore short Paper Tiger. Sometimes it's first date at Barbaro. Like whatever it is, I'm in the business of creating places where people can be together, because I fundamentally believe that is an unchangeable and an immutable part of the human experience. And so you can't ever forget, and as you know, I'm like a world-class fatso. Like, we love all this weird eating, drinking sort of stuff. But at the same time, that's not really the business that I'm in. And I'm in the business of places for people to be together. And I want me and my team to remain focused on that. We don't have a mission statement, and we don't have really operating principles, but the two things in our company that I look to more as like an anchoring sort of principle. I want every single one of our places to be two things. I want them to be fun, and I want them to be transportive. Fun sounds sort of like fratty and stupid, but it's first of all, it's harder to do than most people think. How do you make a place fun? I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. A lot of human spirit and a lot of unidentifiable, almost alchemy sort of that goes into making a place fun. I think it also plays to my personality, but also to the strengths of like my coworkers and our team. We're not really the place you're going to take, mom for Mother's Day, or go for a quiet anniversary dinner, with your spouse. But we are the place where you might have the first date, and we are the place where you go after you get off work to, have one too many with your coworkers or whatever. That's and if our places aren't fun, then we're not going to be any good at that. And there's there's ebbs and tides within. It's like, fuck, Barbara's not fun enough right now. We're missing something, and then you try to identify with that. So we want to be fun, and then the second thing is we want to be transportive. And this gets back to like, what are we really in the business of doing? You know, people work hard. Their jobs are stressful. Their lives are stressful. You know, we exist to give them, you know, respite from that. And the transportive aspect is to make them feel like they're somewhere else for just a little bit. And we always love San Antonio. I mean, our team is ride or die for this crazy town. But I think that whether it's like at Barbaro, we tried to rip off this particular now shuttered bar on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Little Death was very much inspired by, like, I mean, it's a gas station on the Strip, but I really had some ideas that I wanted to feel like 11th arrondissement Paris kind of vibes, which is a little bit not so much anymore, but like a little bit bohemian from the time that it opened. We want our places to feel a certain sort of way, so that when you guys come in, give me your hard-earned money, it's like, oh, this is nice. I'm somewhere that someone gave what the experience, what I'm going to feel like when I'm here, sort of thing. So being fun and transportive, those are the only two things. And it's nice sometimes, because if I'm unhappy with what a place is, or if any of my colleagues are unhappy about it, it's like, and those are two really easy things to revert to. Like, are we fun and transportive right now? And if we're not, then let's figure out why not, and let's figure out how to fix it.
Yeah. Well, so what about, okay, well, I mean, I think we've got a lot of stuff, but I'm interested in your vision for the future, right? Like, so for Empty Stomach Group, but also just others, like, we can't have just you doing these things, right? And then we can still make more of those spots that have the good Instagram spot with a little fluorescent sign, you know, I guess, so your places, I would say, I feel comfortable. They're authentic in some interesting way, right? And so, what is the future for those? Like, who else is doing that stuff? And like, did Austin? When people say it's soulless, is it because these things are lost there? I feel like you meet a person from Austin now, and they have been there 2 years at most.
Yeah, right.
It's very transactional.
Transplant syndrome.
It's everywhere. So I feel like San Antonio, it's a strength and a weakness. Is that, like, a lot of people have deep roots here, and so we're more glacial in that too. But I don't know. How do we maintain a soul? How do we grow? Who all's doing other things that you find interesting?
Well, the business of food and beverage, it's really hard. There's a fantastic article. You can still, like, Google it, and it's online for free. It's from the New Yorker, and it's a guy who is like a bond trader, and he's a great writer too, though. And it's like from 2015, 16, 17 something. But the title is so perfect, and it's The Thrill of Losing Money by Investing in a Manhattan Restaurant. But it could be the thrill of losing money by investing in a restaurant. Mm-hmm. And he goes into great detail about why it's so impossible. Well, he was able to learn as a 1.4% owner of this place. Oh my God, why is it so hard to make money in this business? It looks like it should be easier. One of the things that he touches on, and one of the things that's true, that there's a giant bridge. There's a giant destroyed bridge between operators and capital. Real estate, restaurant, bar, nightclub, any sort of real hospitality, food and beverage operators, there's no capital for them. Every time you do something, it's with cash. You're raising money from friends. You're borrowing and stealing. You're maxing out your credit cards. I mean, and this is something like literally somebody wanting just to open a 1,000-square-foot coffee shop or something. There's no capital available for those guys. And typically, even if you can align yourself with people that have capital that are nuts enough to give it to you, they're awful. They want to micromanage. There's if every other industry, but the hospitality industry gets correctly hit as like high risk and all. I don't believe that to be true at all. I think that it's capital starved, and there's a lot of really great ambitious operators. My friend Matt Garcia and a couple of friends are about to open something nearby you called Miles in the old building. It's over there in Sunset Station. Well, sorry, we're supposed to call it St. Paul Square now. I got to get on brand. Sorry, Don. My friend Don and his buddy Michael and David, they own the project. And, they're going to open this, but it's a third generation space, maybe beyond that at this point. But Matt's been in the industry. He worked for Peter Seifstein for a long time, was, the chef de cuisine at NOLA when it was probably, the best restaurant in the city. But, you know, building out a restaurant is insane. Like Mercy Jones, the total build out, I mean, all in to get it open and to start pouring cocktails over there, it's almost $1 million for a 2,300 square foot bar. And like, you know, you got to sell a lot of Tito's and soda to pay back, you know, $1 million or whatever. And so it's a very capital intensive business. You do tend to get operators who can make the food, make the drinks, make the hospitality, but the business part of the business they don't have a lot of experience with. So a lot of times they'll get into stuff where, you know, they open and 6 months later they're out of money because they didn't budget correctly and they didn't think about the runway they would need and all the things that, I mean, again, these things, presumably with what you guys are doing here, this is not uncommon in the world of startups,
this
right?
sounds just
It's
just like what we talk
every
about.
single startup deals with, you know, you tend to have, you know, founders or whatever that are really, really good at the product part of it, but there's a lot of other things that go into making it work. And so I think that there more and more, I think that there are people that are figuring out how to get their places open. Restaurant and bar operators figuring out how to get their places open. I think what's maybe somewhat, I don't know, it's probably the same in every field, but the people that are opening bars and restaurants in San Antonio, they truly love it. They aren't doing it because they've sat down and, you know, on a legal pad said, what's the highest return on investment that I could possibly do with my life? They want to, you know, Stefan, you know, Weissman, you know, Dady, these guys are all sickos. They really do love the job. I mean, in the same way. The way that the hum of a busy dining room and the you know, cacophony of a joyful packed bar, like that stuff is awesome. And I think that we're at the point where we see that, but the truth is, and it gets back to that article I was telling you about earlier, until we have more people step up and literally write $50,000, $100,000 checks into restaurants, we're going to be limited, and the limitation is basically from capital. It's not really from good operators. San Antonio has a bit of a constraint on our market overall. We don't have the incomes that really can support broad, high-priced things. I think you've seen all the Pearl recently kind of speak to that. They opened up a lot of things at very high check average price points, and that's why you've seen a number of them stumble and fail. I think that our market tends to reward relatively low price point check average stuff. That's we try to stay in that world, you know, other than Petit Cocan, which still is by big city standards not an expensive restaurant, but all of our check averages are pretty low, and that's important in our market. So we do have that constraint, but the biggest constraint we have are guys that want to write checks to sponsor a really great hardworking dude or dudette to open up their thing. So
yeah, I mean, that's a similar thing we talked about in biotech. Okay, so we had a question about aioli earlier, and so just want to get your thoughts on aioli. If a group, let's say a food truck, says they hand make their aioli, and it's probably, what do you think? Do you think it's just mayo?
It's not aioli.
So we were talking about what is the definition of aioli.
God damn it! This is a plant. Yeah, well, it may have been good old Tony Bourdain who said that, like, the difference between mayonnaise and aioli is you can charge $5 more for aioli than you can for mayonnaise. Yeah, I mean, listen, if we're talking about, you know, the difference between the two, you know, aioli is just an emulsification using olive oil and herbs and garlic. That's, you know,
Do you think a lot of people are making aiolis from scratch?
I do not think they're making aioli from scratch.
Just mix it
I think we're making mayos.
Fancy mayos.
That's why all the way back to Monterey we call them mayos.
I know. That's anyway. This has been a debate here at Velocity about aioli. So
well, it's you know, foodie culture, right? Is hilarious to me because people are still saying they're foodies, which is like. Anyone who loves food would never call themselves a foodie, but it's still very much in the. You don't understand. I'm a foodie. I'm like, I think I understand everything I need to understand.
Well, that's when someone says they're a coffee snob. It's the first thing I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about.
But first, coffee.
I
do think though, the idea that we're making fun of. I mean, no one even knew what aioli meant 20 years ago. And it's funny, going back to the Monterey. I have now reached. I will turn 50 at the end of this year. And so now I've got all these young kids in their mid-20s, right? Some early 20s. And so I can literally talk to them as if I am their father, right? And I'm like, you guys do not understand that when we opened the Monterey, do you remember how people thought it was bizarre that we were serving sriracha? That was like an obscure condiment when we had it, and that was our hot sauce that we would serve. We were serving Topo Chico, and again in 2010, that was a lot of people like, what is that? There's so many like things that are common now in the food world. What I'll tell the like youngsters, it's like when I was in college. I mean, this the internet was nascent back then or whatever, but you couldn't go to a grocery store and buy Parmigiano Reggiano or extra virgin olive oil or balsamic vinegar or any of these like hackneyed, totally normie things now. Like you had to go to a specialty Italian. There used to be, I can't remember the name of it. There used to be a specialty Italian import store, and Central Market was already open, but there was that's where you would go to get prosciutto and good stinky Italian cheeses and good olive oils. And so it's crazy how the food world has like expanded. And so I can't be mad at people that are like, I like garlic aioli, and it's like it's fine that you like mayonnaise with probably some garlic in it or whatever.
I mean, I guess you see this in coffee and beer, right? Like you can go find a counterculture intelligentsia, or you can find all these craft beers now at Central Market or at regular HEB. So yeah, this what was fine dining or whatever you want to call it, like fancy stuff, is now everywhere. Yeah.
And that is like that gives me. Well, people will come here and be like, "Oh, I like San Antonio. I wish there were more restaurants." I'm like, brother, you should have been here in 2010. Like it was rough. I mean, and it's a big part of the reason why I started the Monterey. It's like I got tired of hearing myself whine about it. And I'm like, well, let's just go start something. How hard could it be? Is what I said. It turns out,
it was a great design. You had like a awesome kitchen, plenty of indoor space.
Yeah, we might be doing another one that's like similarly sized. Just a total ego project. I'll let you know. I'll let you know if that happens.
I'm excited.
I keep telling myself that. Like
I have another project before you start.
Well, listen, I'm ready to go, baby.
Our last question is: so we ask, where is the best margarita in the city? And I don't know. Maybe you can't name your own places.
Well, no, I'm not going to name it. I know that for a while I would have, when we had Chisme open, I would have tossed my hat in the ring. And here's why. We made our own lime cordial. We used fresh lime juice. All this stuff is a little bit idiotic because the differences that most people could perceive in those things were small.
That's high end anything, though.
Yeah, right. I mean, free, like pasteurized. Tell me you can taste the difference between like pasteurized purchased lime juice and fresh squeezed lime juice. I can't. You could. Most people can't. So why the hell do you do it? Because it's super labor intensive. But we made our own lime cordial. We had, when you're doing frozen drinks, there's significant science to getting the glucose and water levels right to give the creamy mouthfeel instead of the icy mouthfeel. And we feel like we do a pretty good. I think they're rocket ships, but the frozen drinks at Hot Joy are good for the same reason. They have really good mouthfeel.
Those are dangerous.
They are dangerous. Okay, so the best margarita, and it's going to kill me because it's a Stone Oak restaurant.
Oh, no, we love this.
I know.
We love this. We do.
Aldacos. I don't go out there that often. It's really, really good. That's Stefan's favorite margarita. No. It is. I feel like we're in a margarita trough because you can go to all the craft cocktail bars. You can go to like Amor Eterno or Esquire, Double Standard, whatever. Anybody who has really good craft bartender, and they will make you an exceptional margarita because they're using good tequila and good lime juice. But none of the places where we go to eat make good margaritas, and it's this weird disconnect. I'm a board member on the Tequila Interchange Project, so this is a little bit near and dear to my heart, but they're using just the worst tequila on the planet for most of these things.
The chispa.
Oh, and don't even give me started on where you can actually eat food and get a really good margarita. Tacos is great. It's truly great.
You don't like El Jaro?
El Jaro's fine. I don't know.
Fine. You don't have to say it.
No, I think that I wonder about the indulgent. Well, this is one of my things. It's we in our effort in a culinary sense to talk about the best this or the best. I mean, thank God. It seems like the listicles have finally died. You know, the top 10 this, the top 10 that. Maybe they're still around, but I do. I really. There's so much room for like we're gonna do things the best, or are you just gonna do something that's pretty good and like knock it out and let people overindulge? Yeah. Like not everything needs to be, and this hits me close to home because you'll get like the stupid what's the guy's name, the Barstool guy, the Dave Portnoy.
Oh yeah.
And so
he loved Leo.
He loved Leo. He loved Barbaro. But you go and now you get people coming in and they're like, you know, examining the crust, and it's like, we didn't open this to get ratings or to like qualify for. That he brought in a ton of people. I'm not mad at that dude, but it's sort of like everybody becoming a chair critic about the best this and the best that. I don't know. I didn't think it was that great. It's like, what are you eating every night that's inducing like culinary orgasms for you? Sometimes food's just food.
What's in the Conseco bread? I want to hear this because that is awesome.
The Conseco bread, I'm going to have to ask John Philpott about that. That was an unsanctioned, limited time offer at Leo's. I remember it being very good.
It was super good.
I'll mention it to him. I'm going to see him in a second. I'll mention the Conseco bread to him. It was definitely had performance enhancing substances in it. I think that's why hence the name or whatever.
Hence the name fits. Okay.
Like people that just the thing about culinary stuff, and I don't want to be too meta about it, but the people who are like try hard has almost become like we're tired of doing this. Yeah. And we're like all the things in the big cities and the big restaurant markets now, it's all this like throwback stuff, and it's like the Golden Steer from Vegas, like the steakhouse been open for whatever 80 years, and I've never been. By reputation, it's a very good steakhouse. Well, they opened one in New York City, and everybody's been freaking out about it. And it's like baked potato and like steak in New York but everybody's retreating to sort of like normal. And the guy, one of the co-founders of Noma, you know, he opened a restaurant in Greenpoint, pretty close to the wine bar up there, called Iblis, and it closed inside of 2 years. I mean, it was like a massive, expensive. And this guy has a culinary resume as good as anybody, and it didn't last because no one wants 24-course tasting menus with foraged. I just want a steak and potato.
They want Golden Corral. This is talking to our point about this, like, you said my market, and I feel like your market is this, right? It's not quite that. It's like, correct. I do want slightly elevated, and I want hip and cool. You know, I'm looking for, I don't know.
Well, we want to deliver value in a monetary sense, but we have to check ourselves all the time and being like, because a lot of times, providing value just means lowering your prices or pulling out quality or whatever. Well, I got a good story. I'll ask you about that. I'd love y'all's opinion. But I have to remind our team, hey guys, if we're trying to ultimately, if we're trying to win on price, we're never going to win on that. And I don't even want to compete on price.
The Monterey chicken. The Monterey chicken days.
Well, at that point we just lost money. Okay, so this has been something that we're debating right now. A lot of it has to do with beef prices kind of going nuts over the last 6 months. Brisket wholesale is like almost $6 a pound. It's crazy. Because basically our wholesale prices for beef are what you see at HEB. We don't get much of a meaningful discount. And so the brisket that the meat we grind for the burger at Double Standard, we charge $16 for the burger, and it comes with fries. And they're the Monty fries, so we blanch them, and it's real food.
It's got aioli.
It does have aioli. I think that's possible. We really need to charge like $18 for it now. And we're all paralyzed by charging $18 for a burger and fries because everybody's pissed off at how.
This is winning the terror for. I don't know. That's what this does for you.
Well, it's been funny. So many of my friends, all of my friends who clearly are a buyer at 18 and at 16, they're not gonna. They might be like, oh, great enough. Wallet punch from my friend Chad. Yeah. But what they're to a person, everybody is like, what would you do if you were me? Because there is a way for us to pull out. We can go to a pre-ground thing and get the price down.
You could go to a mutual friend of ours whose job is to figure out how to substitute something cheaper, right? I mean, I know
he's one of the guys.
He works in baked goods mostly, but he can help you.
Almost everybody, though, outside of their area of expertise, were just like, yeah, you should keep it 16 and pull quality out. And it made me impressed because I'm like, why are we so afraid to just deliver something good?
Yeah.
There's still cheaper. There's still places to get cheaper food. We're just not that. But I am scared. This is what I have to remind myself of. Why am I scared to say, yeah, you can go get and you can go sit in a McDonald's or eat it. You can sit in your car and eat it, or you can sit at a dingy place and eat it. But I swear to God, it's so funny that so few people, the instinct, and I think part of this is a function of like San Antonio mindset. The instinct here is always cheap. You're like, stay cheap, stay cheap.
That's capitalism, man.
I think so. Well, I also kind of like it because we can probably, I don't know, you're a recent grad, you should be poor as hell. But like we can go spend an extra $3 on a burger that we know objectively is better. But there's a lot of people who can't. There's, line cooks that I employ that make $18 an hour that's a meaningful, they see that and they feel that. And so I'm always sort of persuaded by that too.
But to your point, like double standard with an $16 or $18 plus the good drinks, like it becomes, I think you should raise it to 18. Tequila, you can totally tell the difference. Come on.
You can?
No,
I can.
Man, we do like all the comparative margaritas all the time, and the tequila is like the number one thing. You're like, yeah.
Okay, assuming that to be true, which I do not acquiesce.
It's true, dude.
Assuming.
What do you think is the driver?
You think my wife would know the difference?
Yeah, she's sophisticated.
Oh my God.
I give your wife a lot of credit. I hope she sees this. Well, Kate, I think a lot of you.
But the poor difference is like, it's like $1.80 in cost, and if you're running correct liquor costs, you've added $7.50 in menu price to that margarita by doing it. So you think it's better? You gonna pay $7.50 to me for it?
I know.
And if the answer is no, then
what is the cheapest? It's like $16.50, $12.50, and then it's got to be cost of goods sold.
The fascinating thing about this, it was funny that when we opened up Chisme, I discovered this to be true. No one knows, because everybody has, what's your favorite place to go? El Haro, right? But everybody has their haunt where they go for Tex-Mex.
I would go to Barbaro, but it's never open on the times and days I need it to be.
What? Open all the time.
Like Monday. Is it open Mondays? No, it's not.
7 days a week.
That's not what Google says. Oh, I've been missing out on Barbaro Day. We tried to go. And
7 days a week, 4 p.m.
And 4 p.m. That's it. I'm going for lunch, man. I need lunch.
God, you can't make any money at lunch. Wait, what the hell are we talking about? Hold on.
Margaritas and how awesome they are. Favorite places.
I found out people have no idea what the queso or the margaritas cost at their favorite place.
Fact.
They have no idea.
I've never,
What? Because queso, we're like, where do we price our? We're like pricing queso like a bunch of honkies, and then we're like, well, we need to charge $11 for this, and I'm like, is that a lot or a little? And literally everybody's like, you just order queso. You don't, and you never really look at it. Like if you go to La Fonda, it's like Steve's Margarita. The Steve's Margarita could be $10 or $18. I don't even know.
Dude.
Like
you're ordering off menu.
And the chispas.
And anyway, we've had people sitting here and they're just like, for brain drain, we need better flights, we need all this, and I'm like, we need quality of life stuff, which is. Like, at least in my stage of life, it's restaurants, it's the wine bars. And
you really should read this article. I'll when I get to my Volvo station, I'll forward it to you.
Yeah.
Because you've seen, it's funny. Have you ever met Billy Lambert and Celeste Wackenhut? They're husband and wife, and they own the furniture design build company, French in Michigan. They're awesome people, very creative people. They own an old garage just south of the convenience store on South Presa, where Petit Cocan is. Yeah. And they've been wanting to they've got a 1,600 square foot spot in front of their workshop. And it's going to be so rad when they're finished kind of building up. They don't want to operate it. They want to lease it. And they were like, we were just thinking that we could maybe find someone to do a little coffee shop and bakery. They talked to Ann and Jeremy way back in the day.
Like White Elephant across the street.
No, exactly. I'm like, hey, guys, there's like 8 coffee shops within 1,000 feet of here. And by the way, none of them are doing any business. Yeah. And they're like, we kind of noticed that. And I'm like, so on the coffee shop thing, and to a degree on the bar side, like we get more of those because they're pretty inexpensive to open. Restaurants are crazy expense. The total cap on Hot Joy, it was like $1.3 million. Like, you know, for a 3,300 square foot space, like it's getting so crazy expensive to build. Feel like $200,000, and you're doing it literally with cash, you know, like, so most of the people that want to work that, the restaurant thing is going to be really hard to fix until we develop enough dudes here who will just write $100,000 checks and give them to people like Max and Corinne and say, go be awesome, and we don't care if we get our money back.
See, this is like the same thing we talk about in the startups. Everybody's like, it's capital. We just need all this capital. And I'm like, I think there's got to be other ways to do it. I mean, well, I don't know. You figured it out, but I think it's because of the Monterey. Well, the Monterey, right? Like, that was a pivotal spot that connected you. I don't know.
I mean, it was in a weird, this was not the strategy at all. The Monterey unintentionally taught me how not to run a restaurant in a business sense. So it's like, after you do something, it was like, you know, the opposite episode in Seinfeld. Like, so if we're going to make a place profitable, we'll just do the opposite of everything we did at the Monterey. Yeah. You know, it made that decision making really interesting. I don't know anybody. I mean, I've had to tell people a lot. There's just, well, even Mercy Jones, I had to go back and retrade my deal with Adelman as our landlord. I'm like, the bids that we got for the build out, I mean, lease is signed, the place is designed. And I'm like, I can't make this work. Like, I will walk this project and eat $50,000 in design fees because I can't make this money back. I don't know, man. The idea of, I mean, what you guys, the startup world is just, everything I've heard about is just so wild in terms of like, I need a bunch of money to set on fire, and there's a 1 in 100 chance that it goes to 100x, and like, okay, and
pretty much
guys that are in that, okay, cool. Our stuff is like, I actually think I've tried to tell people this when they've asked me, hey, a friend is asking me to invest in their restaurant bar deal or whatever, and I'm just like, if you like this person and you want to see something cool happen, then you should absolutely, and you're fine losing this money, then you should totally do that. Like, yes.
I think it's that third criteria.
But
that's the hardest to solve.
But, well, right, except, you know, if you, when I say lose all your money, there are very few places that are going to like, I mean, you've seen some of these hang on for a long time.
Yeah.
The problem, it actually isn't losing money in the restaurant world, it's making money. You can let these things bounce along as break even as long as making money is hard, but you can keep these places open as long as you don't want your money back and you get some joy out of it. Which you write a guy a $100,000 check and you have a fun restaurant that stays open for 10 years that you actually like going to and being a part of. Yeah. Okay, great. You paid country club dues for you really like or whatever. Like, and now there aren't a lot of guys that are just going to scratch $100K to, you know, for fun, but in every other city, that's how it works. Yeah. Like,
but if we don't have that, there's got to be another way to do it. Like, how does Austin? Like, so it was just there last week. Yeah, it was last week. I was up for a thing, and it was like, it just, I won't say it feels like a hipper city, but like all the little robots delivering all the food, and it's just so techy. And then I go into this event, and there's little robots with little screens coming at me constantly, and I'm just like, it's so flashy here, but also there's like cool eating spots and drink spots everywhere.
Yes.
It's just everywhere. And I think that is why when companies come here and they're like, oh, we totally want to do biotech and work with the military, and we're going to Austin, because they go up there and they're like, well, I definitely want to live up here, and I'll work down there.
No, you're right about that. I think it's I know for a fact that a lot of the food and beverage culture up there is heavily subsidized by all the tech guys. Yeah, they just say, here's.
We have some tech guys.
We do.
Why don't they subsidize our food and
beverage
culture? They
do a little bit, but like not. I mean, I don't know. Austin is just a corn city on that front. I mean,
well, they have some other.
Well, the rant about the like coffee thing is like I think it's pretty easy to open coffee shops and bars. I think you'll see a lot more of those, and if that means it's more of a hangout spot or whatever, but like what we want is a place for you and I get the wives and we go have a really nice dinner and something that's cool and fun and interesting, and that hole is going to take a long time.